Crochet. It's relaxing until it isn't. Let's talk about crochet and what no one tells you, especially as you're learning, and even teach you some tips and tricks on how to avoid these crochet problems. Let's get into it. After that nice little intro that I got there, today we're going to be going through the top 5 most important things that you are not usually told before you start learning crochet, with a bonus one near the end, so stay tuned for that. Yarn. Cool effect there. Now, with this underlying problem that I find plagues almost every crocheter that I find or meet, not find, my goodness, is yarn. Yarn in general. Buying too much yarn, buying the wrong yarn.
Really quick, this is Editor Yam speaking. If you don't want to learn about all the different materials and you just want to get the PDF that's in the description, go ahead. Skip to this timestamp or to the next chapter that isn't yarn.
Now, with yarn, of course, there's lots of materials. One thing is for sure, that can be very confusing to a lot of people in figuring out what yarns are best for what purposes. So first of all, cotton yarn. It's the material that I've had the most experience with all of my donuts and snails and all of that in my business, because cotton is great for amigurumi, summer garments, dishcloths, bags, and things like that. It's durable and it holds its shape very well. It's not very stretchy. It's not stretchy, which makes it great for things like amigurumi, because it holds the stuffing really well and it holds its shape really well. Look at this shell. It's squishy, yes, but it holds its shape. The only downside of it is it does give you like a burn on your finger, which happens with crochet if you crochet a lot anyways, but especially with hard yarns like cotton, it does give you that friction burn pretty quickly. Now, number 2, wool. Wool is awesome for wearables, so sweaters, scarves, socks, that kind of thing. It's really warm and it's really breathable and it's elastic. Those 3 things allow it to do really well for things that you wear, because the sheep wore it, right? So it has to be breathable and warm. There are certain types of sheep that have different properties, like some can be itchy. Metro wool is very soft and comfortable. Wool does shrink if you wash it, so you have to be really careful with it. There are some pre-washed wools that you can wash more easily after you crochet it, so it stays its shape. But yeah, that's wool. Wool is very versatile and durable. Number 3 is acrylic. Acrylic is very budget friendly, especially for beginners. There is no shame in getting red heart. Like I said, it's budget friendly. It's great for blankets, toys, and practice. Practice, 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 practice. Let me show you my practice projects. These are my practice projects, all made out of acrylic yarn. And as you can see, it's very soft and flexible. One thing that I really like about acrylic is with all these fuzzies all over it, you can take a lighter and go over it really, really fast, and it actually gets rid of all that fuzz. So I practiced stitches. These can be turned into scarves. Let me know if you want a video about how to make an easy, beautiful scarf. I made that for a friend. It's really fun. But yeah, it's really good for practice, like coming up with your patterns and doing things like this without having it to be really expensive, right? Acrylic's very, very versatile. It's cheap. It's widely available, especially with Red Heart, and comes in tons of colors. It doesn't absorb moisture, so it's not really good for things that you would wear, and it does pill over time. Acrylic yarn is very versatile. Getting into the more exotic yarns, which exotic equals expensive. So these are more for a passion project that you want to give away as a gift, like a baby blanket. This first more exotic one is bamboo yarn. Bamboo, yeah. It's really good for lightweight garments and baby items, delicate things. It's really soft and smooth. It's good for sensitive skin, especially if you have an allergy to animal-based yarns, which is really good. It has a nice drape, making it hang and wave and be breathable, especially in that way. It's naturally antibacterial.
Oh, hello, bacteria.
Hello,
What are you doing here?
just thought I would drop by. You were dropped on the floor, you know.
Oh, was I then?
By the way, what type of yarn are you then?
Oh, I'm bamboo yarn.
Oh, dang it.
Well, bye-bye now. He's a funny one, isn't he?
One thing to note, it can be hard to work with. It does stretch over time, so it does lose that elasticity because it's not an animal fiber. So you do have to be careful about that. What's also really luxury is alpaca yarn. It's great for luxury garments, scarves, hats, and really delicate things. So not something that's going to be rubbing against anything a lot. It's softer and warmer than wool, and it has really silky feel. It's not as itchy as wool, but some people do still react to it. So you do have to be careful with that kind of yarn. It is heavy, which means it drapes really nicely, and it doesn't have a lot of elasticity, so it can lose its shape over some time. Now, after a little bit, it does get a little more complicated when you start blending yarns, so like wool and acrylic and cotton and acrylic. It's mainly done like that so that you can get the best of both worlds, where the wool is less scratchy or the cotton is more stretchy, that kind of thing. Those kinds of blends, you have to be kind of careful about it and understand what each one does. It does give a really good middle ground for those projects that don't really fit in any of the other strictly cotton acrylic type of projects. It's less expensive than pure animal or plant bases. But yeah, those are the types of yarns that, and a really quick run through. There's lots and lots and lots of information on it all over the internet. So I would go to those sources before making a final decision if it's like a really big project that you don't want to make mistakes on. A lot of different yarns are made in a lot of different ways. I have mostly Red Heart because these are the wrappers that I actually have. Yeah, I like to save these and attach a little bit of the yarn to it. There's lots of information on here. I'll give some links on how to read all of this in the description. I love the Red Heart because it comes with a pattern on each one. That's another reason why I like to keep these. But yeah, saving your labels is really useful. Just sticking them into a Ziploc bag. Yeah, keeping them so that you can keep the washing information. Now, with the yarn out of the way, of course, I'm not going to mention the problem of buying too much yarn, but that's a universal thing that I hope that every crocheter understands before they start crocheting, because you will be drawn to the yarn aisle in Michael's or Joann's or any store for that matter. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, hand pain. Now, for that matter, it's also back pain, neck pain, eye pain, etc. But hand pain specifically, because you're working with your hands a lot when you're crocheting. Because of that, you're working out your muscles that are pulling your tendons, and that can lead to your arms being sore. So taking periodic breaks can be very helpful, and then doing some good stretches and prevent yourself from developing any problems. You don't want that as a crocheter. Along with that, like I said, comes back pain, neck pain, and eye pain. Now let me explain each of these. Back pain happens mainly when your posture is not the best. So when your back is hunched, and you're like, you have your crochet right next to your face, and you're trying to get those stitches, you often forget about your posture. And over time, you can start developing certain problems with your posture, especially if you're doing it for long periods of time. Getting up and stretching can help a lot. Oh, I forgot to grab my yarn and give it as an example for the cotton. My goodness. Silly me. Just making sure that you're sitting upright, have your back straight, have it right next to your face as you're crocheting. Otherwise, it'll contribute to your neck pain. Now with our phones, it's down here and we're looking down and our neck is really bent. Our heads are looking down, right? And that can cause neck pain. And popping your neck doesn't help. I do really want to point out that pain is not your enemy, it is your friend, because it is your body telling you, I really don't want to be in this position. Please change it, please. It's not good for me. It's not good for you, please. And eye pain. It's not really as common. It's comparable a lot to your phone as well. You hold it really close to your face and it strains your eyes to be looking at something so close for so long, just like reading. Any activity can be compared to this. Taking breaks every 20 minutes or so and looking across the room, turning around and looking across the room is one of the best things that you can do for your eyes, to let those muscles in your eyes that focus your eyes relax. Going outside is wonderful, not only for your eye health, but for your overall health. Breathing that fresh air. But yeah, making sure to stretch in between crochet sessions is a very, very good thing. Now, next thing is a straight up warning to all of you crocheters out there. Be very careful the patterns that you purchase. I don't want to be harsh, but it's really, really hard to work with a badly written pattern. So sticking with creators that you really like and that you can understand with their pattern writing is a very good idea. And then making sure it's in the right terms. So US terms, UK terms, that kind of thing. I'm talking about the abbreviations: single crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, that kind of thing, where it's increasing, decreasing, whatever it is. How the pattern itself is structured is basically the accent that the person is writing in. And you don't want to get the wrong accent and have to sit down for an extra week to try to figure out what in the goodness this person is trying to say. And then there's badly written patterns that just don't make sense whatsoever, or things like that where it doesn't end up how the picture looked. And for that matter, we have to bring up AI. Of course, this has been a problem for a while, but a lot of crocheters are falling for the trap of purchasing AI patterns. And it breaks my heart to know that someone, a beginner, buys one of these patterns and doesn't know what they're doing and tries to follow this pattern that they bought, and it's just not working out. It's just not working. AI is dumb with crochet patterns. I'm going to be flat out. This is what it is. AI does not understand crochet patterns. It can give you good tips for crochet, but it just like how it doesn't understand math, it does not understand crochet patterns. And you need to be very careful about buying crochet patterns nowadays. One big red flag is the AI-ness of the crocheted item examples, and not seeing progress pictures of this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece. Seeing each individual piece the crocheter doing it halfway through, that kind of thing. And the pictures cannot look too perfect. I generated a few AI crocheted images on YouTube of all places. It's actually available to YouTubers in the community posts where you can generate AI images. And it was scary how realistic these were. I'll generate a few more because I didn't actually save them so that I can show you on screen right now. But zooming in on the details, you can see the freaking fuzziness of the yarn. The stitches, most of the time, actually look real. How has AI gotten to this point? I don't know. It's been trained on a lot of crocheted images, I guess. But that's scary. So be careful out there when buying patterns. You might as well freehand it and then make a pattern with it as you make it, which is what I do, especially for these little things. But yeah, be careful with AI and AI crochet patterns. It's a whole jungle out there. Now, these next two before the last one are mainly for crocheters who sell their products. I am one of them. If you don't think they'll apply to you or you don't want to watch that part, then skip to this timestamp. Okay, so this one is pricing your handmade items. And these two kind of go hand in hand. Pricing handmade items and crochet labor is undervalued. To make one of these chocolate donuts, it takes me 5 to 6 hours. About 4 hours and 1.5 hours for the frosting, and then half an hour to sew it all together. Add sprinkles on top of that, and that's an extra 5 to 6 hours for the rainbow sprinkles. I am serious. It takes way too long to put sprinkles on these things with how I do it. And with that, you want to get paid fairly for your projects. Am I right? Minimum wage is around $7. And you want to be paid at around $10 to $20, $30 an hour. But that's just not possible with today's consumer world, where Amazon is thriving, Temu, and even Etsy now, where everything is so cheaply priced that people just expect something like this to cost $15. Yes, I am selling these for $15. Please don't judge me. But with that extra labor that goes into making these adorable, fluffy, squishy, fun little things, people just don't understand that, and they look at prices and just kind of scoff, and they don't really care about your labor. They just want a crocheted donut. They want a fun donut toy for their child. So making sure to spread awareness and help people understand the work that goes behind crochet in itself in making one stitch at a time. Spreading that awareness and helping people understand that people who crochet put their life and soul into these projects. It takes so long to make these things that you want to get your time's worth, but you need to make sure to make a profit from it. Considering materials alone, you can start off at $15. You need to pay yourself for the labor, and that's really hard to do. This is the bonus point before we finish off with the last one, and can you guess what it is? Yes, it is supplies. There's just so many supplies that you could possibly get for crochet, and they all sound so useful. But all you really need is all of this. You don't even need normal stitch markers like this. You can use a scrap of yarn. So one thing that a lot of crocheters really get hooked on, get it, is supplies. Now, what I have here is basically the bare necessities. Yarn, stuffing if you're doing amigurumi projects, and tapestry needles. Even this will do. Oh, even these cheap plastic ones work. And a yarn winder. This is called a Nostepieene. What it is used for is to wind skeins into yarn cakes. You can take this and wind it and take it from this mess to a nice cake of yarn. These are so nice. And you can actually pull from the center with these ones because they won't become a mess like normal skeins. There is the skein of yarn that's wound into a big circle. It is very useful to have one of these. A big umbrella type contraption to hold the big loop of yarn. Now my father made this, but you can find them on, I don't want to say Etsy. You can find them on Goimagine. I will find some really good links to some handmade ones. But you can even use a Sharpie marker or a toilet paper roll. A lot of things can be used in place of this. Let me know if you want a video on how to wind yarn. I hope you enjoyed this little bonus section. Let's move on to the final point. Now, for this last one, happy accidents, I wanted to end off on a kind of happy note. Instead of focusing on all the things that people don't tell you these things about crochet, I did not want to focus on something negative for the entire video. So, with happy accidents, you can see my short about it in the description and maybe in the little pop-up right here. But yes, there really are happy accidents in crochet. With anything that does not work out, whether it's you missed a few stitches, it's too small, you were too tight when you were crocheting, you were too loose when you were crocheting, no matter what you did, it can be turned into something better. If anything, you can cut it up into fluffy pieces and use it as stuffing. Ooh, stuffing. Yes, you can use it as stuffing. And making sure to find a use for those happy accidents is something that not only makes sure you don't waste your materials, but also your time. Yes, it can be very frustrating, I acknowledge that you made a mistake, and now you have to go buy more yarn, or now you have to tell your family that you're not gonna have the gifts until next week. And with those are the things that were most prevalent to me that I thought you should know, and be sure to tell me in the comments if I missed anything, or if there's some small detail that you want to make sure is included in this video in the comments. What were you not told before you started learning crochet? I would love to hear that. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Yam, this is Skeins to Knots. Have a wonderful day.